Mrs. Colma here with our last read aloud for Domain 9. A few quick things I want to go over before we get started. I will be posting the videos for the Domain 10 read aloud starting next week, and I will also be emailing home the worksheets because I didn't have a chance to get them all put together in time. So I will be emailing those to moms and dads. If you have the ability to print those at home and do those at home, perfect, wonderful, amazing. Please print those out and do those and be ready to bring them in. If you don't have that and you just have some extra paper lying around, scholars can absolutely 100% completely write the exercises on extra paper. The goal is that they're still writing. The goal is that they're still writing their best sentences and practicing capitalization, punctuation, and finger spaces, all right? So everything said and done, let's go ahead and get started with today's read aloud. Jack and the Beanstalk Part 2, all right. We're going to go over what the objective is like we would in class. We're going to go over our vocabulary words for this read aloud. I will real quick walk you through what happened with the last part of the read aloud. We'll do today's read aloud and you'll have some check my understanding questions at the end. Objective, we learn all about it. I can see if my prediction is correct. I can see if my prediction is correct. Let's go ahead and go with our vocabulary words. The first word you need to know for the story is the word barked. The word you need to know is barked. Barked means made a loud noise like a dog. Barked means made a loud noise like a dog. He barked to get his dog's attention. The next word you need to know is bellowing. The next word you need to know is bellowing. Bellowing means shouting loudly. Bellowing means shouting loudly. The whole apartment could hear him bellowing at his brother. The next word you need to know is bounding. The next word you need to know is bounding. Bounding means leaping. Bounding means leaping. The fox went bounding after the rabbit, and see how he's kind of running along there. The next word you need to know is gulped. The next word you need to know is gulped. Gulped means swallowed something quickly or in large amounts. Gulped means swallowed something quickly or in large amounts. He gulped his entire bottle of Powerade before running back onto the field. The next word you need to know is rudely. The next word you need to know is rudely. Rudely means in a way that hurts others or is not polite. Rudely means in a way that hurts others or is not polite. She rudely interrupted the person who was trying to help her. All right, you know what that symbol means? Let's go ahead. I will hum our GLP song just so you're remembering how to get there. Who's gonna win the GLP? Back is straight, legs crisscross, hands in star, and we'll go far. So last time we learned about Jack and his mother, who's a widow. Her husband is no more. And their only cow, Milky White. One day Milky White didn't give any milk, so they decided to sell the cow. Jack, rather than selling the cow at the market as planned, traded the cow for 5 beans. 5 beans from this mysterious old man who appeared out of nowhere. Jack's mom was not happy with that trade, and she sent him straight to his room after she threw the beans out of the garden window. So Jack came home feeling really great and then went to bed feeling not so great. When Jack woke up, his window was partially blocked because the beanstalk had grown overnight all the way to the sky, So Jack decided to climb his beanstalk, to climb that beanstalk right outside of his window. He climbed and he climbed and he climbed and he climbed, and then finally he came to the clouds and a shining road and what appeared to be a house at the end of that road. He walked up to the house and knocked on the door and met this giant woman who told him to leave before her husband showed up and ate him for breakfast. But Jack was very polite and asked for some food. She brought him in and gave him some food, but right at that time, the whole house started shaking and trembling as her husband came home. That's where we left off last time. So now we're going to go ahead and get started with Jack and the Beanstalk Part 2. Here we go. Goodness gracious! It's my husband, said the giant's wife. What on earth shall I do? Quick, jump in here. And Jack jumped into the oven just as the giant came in. He was a big one, to be sure. He had 3 cows tied to his belt. He threw them down on the table and said rudely, or without any politeness to respect to his wife, "Here, wife, cook me a couple of these for breakfast. But wait, what's this I smell? Fee, fi, fo, fum! I smell the blood of an Englishman." "Now, dear," said his wife, "it is nothing but leftover smell of that little boy you had for dinner yesterday. Go along and wash up, and by the time you come back, I'll have breakfast ready." So the giant went off, and Jack was about to jump out of the oven from where he was hiding when the woman whispered, "Wait till he's asleep. He always has a nap after his breakfast." The giant gulped down his breakfast. He swallowed it quickly in large bites. Then he went to a giant chest and took out 2 big bags. He sat down, and from the bags he took out piles of gold coins. He began counting them very slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then his head began to nod, and soon he began to snore, so that the whole house trembled. Let's see, who can remember what trembled means? 3, 2, 1. That's right, it means shook. The whole house shook with the giant snoring. Jack crept out of the oven, tiptoed past the giant, grabbed one of the bags of gold, which he could barely lift, and ran lickety-split back to the beanstalk. Lickety-split. I wonder, does lickety-split mean fast or slow? After you see this video, I want you to ask Mom or Dad to text me if lickety-split means fast or slow. So I know you watched this video. Lickety-split, does that mean fast or slow? Jack threw down the bag of gold, which fell kerplunk into his mother's garden. Then he climbed down until at last he reached the ground. "Well, Mother," he said, "wasn't I right about the beans? They really are magic." I wonder how Jack's mother is going to respond to Jack. I wonder how she's going to respond. She looks like she's not too upset with him anymore. For a while, Jack and his mother bought what they needed and a little more with that bag of gold. But at last the bag was empty. So Jack made up his mind to try his luck again at the top of the beanstalk. He climbed and he climbed and he climbed and he climbed, and once again, sure enough, there was the great tall woman standing on the doorstep of her house. And once again, he asked for something to eat. "Go away, boy," said the woman, "or else my husband will eat you up for breakfast." Say, aren't you the youngster that came here once before? Do you know, on that very day, my husband lost one of his bags of gold. Did he now? Said Jack. How very strange. Maybe I could help you find it, but I'm so hungry that first I must have something to eat. So the great tall woman gave him something to eat, but he had hardly taken a bite when thump, 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 they heard the giant's footsteps. Once again, the wife had Jack hide in the oven. It all happened as it had before. In came the giant, bellowing, shouting very loudly in his powerful voice, "Fee, fi, fo, fum!" Then, after gulping down 3 broiled oxen for breakfast, the giant said, "Wife, bring me my hen and my golden harp." He's not very polite. This giant is just demanding and demanding. He didn't even say please one time. The wife brought the harp and the hen. The giant looked at the hen and barked, "Lay!" And the hen laid an egg, all of gold. Then the giant looked at the golden harp and said, "Sing!" And the golden harp sang beautifully. And it went on singing until the giant fell asleep and started snoring like thunder. Jack sneaked out of the oven and crept like a mouse on his hands and knees. Then he crawled up the table grabbed the hen and the golden harp, and dashed to the door. He sneaked and crept and crawled. Remember those words from lesson 7? So he moved very slowly and very quietly. But the hen began to cluck, and the harp called out, "Master, master!" The giant woke up just in time to see Jack running away with his treasures. Jack ran as fast as he could, and the giant came bounding or leaping forward after him. And he would have caught him, only Jack had a head start. When Jack got to the beanstalk, he climbed down as fast as he could. The giant reached the beanstalk and stopped short. He didn't like the idea of climbing down such a ladder. But like it or not, the giant swung himself down on the beanstalk, which shook with his weight. By this time, Jack had climbed down and reached home. "Mother!" he cried. "Give me an axe and hurry!" His mother came rushing with an axe in her hand. She ran with Jack to the beanstalk, and then she screamed with fright as she saw the giant making his way down. Jack swung the axe and gave a chop at the beanstalk. The giant felt the beanstalk shake, and he stopped to see what was the matter. Jack gave another chop, and another, and another, and the beanstalk began to topple over. The giant fell down and broke his hound, and the beanstalk came tumbling after. This line reminds me of a nursery rhyme where someone else fell down and broke his crown, and someone came tumbling after. I wonder who remembers that nursery rhyme? Who remembers that nursery rhyme? From then on, Jack and his mother had all the money and music they wanted, for the hen gave them gold and eggs, and the harp sang for them all day long. And Jack and his mother lived happily ever after. All right, time for some quick check my understanding questions. Was your prediction accurate? Yes or no? Again, have mom, dad, grandma, grandpa text me if your prediction was correct. What does the giant's wife tell Jack to do when the rude giant comes into the house and gulps down his breakfast? What did the giant's wife do? What's the first treasure Jack took from the giant? Why does Jack go back up the beanstalk a second time, even after hearing the giant's bellowing voice? How does the giant's wife treat Jack the second time? What treasures does Jack take from the giant the second time? What happens when Jack tries to escape with the hen and the harp? And finally, in the first part of the fairy tale, the problem was the cow stopped giving milk. How did Jack and his mother solve this problem? What new problems happened in the second part of the story? What new problems did Jack encounter? So that was our check for understanding. Again, those questions, talk with them with mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, sibling, whoever you can. Try to talk about what we read about today in the read aloud. We're going to finish out our fantasy or reality chart real quick. All right, so you know the drill. A picture from the story appears. You're saying if it's fantasy or reality. Here we go. Oh, Jack climbing up a beanstalk to the sky. A beanstalk growing all the way to the sky. Is that something that's fantasy or reality? Watch the screen carefully. Yep, beanstalks don't grow that high. Certainly not overnight. That is fantasy. And we have the giant, the giant. Are giants fantasy or reality? Are giants fantasy or reality? 3, 2, 1. Giants are fantasy. Our chart's gotten so big, I had to split it between 2 slides. So here are the 8 fantasy events we've talked about from the different fairy tales. We have point to each one on the screen as I talk it over, okay? We have the fairy from Sleeping Beauty, right? We have the enchanted princess sleeping for 100 years. We have Rumpelstiltskin spinning straw into gold. We have the talking frog from Frog Prince. We have the house made of candy from Hansel and Gretel. We have the witch trying to cook Hansel. We have Jack climbing the beanstalk and the giant sitting at his kitchen table. So these are the 8 main fantasy events we talked about in these stories. I didn't have any reality events to add for Jack and the Beanstalk. So the reality events we had mainly that we talked about are a prince and a princess getting married, a king and a queen planning a birthday party for their daughter, Hansel laying out stones to find his way back through the forest, and a parent being happy to see his children home safe. And that's it for today. These read alouds are going so quickly. I will be emailing out to moms, dads, grandparents the next set of papers for you guys to complete as we move into our next set of read alouds. I might not have another video up until next week because I need to make sure I have everything ready. We are going to start talking about the American Revolution, and I'm going to be posting all sorts of resources and links in the descriptions to help you guys kind of build your background knowledge of this subject. So that's it for fairy tales. Next time we go on to one of my favorite subjects, the American Revolution, and I'm so excited I still get to share this with you guys. Stay safe, stay healthy, take care. I miss everyone to pieces. See you next time.